Hi everyone, my name is Dewa Ngakan Ketut Aditya Taman Bali. Today I want to tell you about how we approach Society 5.0. The schema of Society 5.0. The basic schema of Society 5.0 is that data are collected from the real world and processed by computer, with the result being applied in the real world. This schema is not a new itself. To cite a familiar example, air conditioning units automatically keep a room at the temperature program into the unit. Units automatically keeps a room at the temperature programmed into the unit. An air conditioner regularly measures the room temperature and internal. Microcomputer then compares the temperature reading with the registered temperature setting. Depending on the result, the airflow is active or dedicated automatically, such that the room maintains the desired temperature. Many of the systems we rely on in society use this basic mechanism. It underlines the system responsible for keeping our homes adequately supplied with electricity, and thus that keep the train running on time. This mechanism relies on computerized automate control. When people use the term information society, they mean a society in which each of these systems collects data, processes them, and then applies the result in a particular real-world environment. Merging cyberspace and physical space. Having clarified the basic schema, we now turn to the next question. What we do we mean by merging the physical space or real world and cyberspace? Cyberspace refers to a digital space in which real world data are collected and analyzed to drive solution. The term was coined to describe an imaginary or virtual area where swathes of raw data are freely accessed and converted into useful information, which can be shared with the others. The infrastructure of the space is the vast array of computer networks. Physical space or the room, and cyberspace or the air conditioner's model of the room. What then is physical space? Physical space refers to the real world from which raw data are collected and into which solutions are applied. Some might interpret real world to mean everything this is real, including computer system. Hence, the government literature adopted the descriptor physical to distinguish this space from cyberspace. This book uses the expressions physical space or real world. As the next section explains, the idea of merging cyberspace with the physical space or real world refers to a cycle in which data smoothly flow from the physical space or real world into the cyberspace and then flow back from cyberspace into the physical space real world in the form of meaningful information. Hitherto, we have relied on systems such as energy supply and rail transport system, each of which governs some parts of the physical world and is a control separately. However, once all of these systems are interconnected through cyberspace, They will enable much more sophisticated service and produce much greater value in the world. Merging cyberspace with physical space. In the previous sections, we learned that the underlying mechanism of Society 5.0 is the merging of the cyberspace with the physical space or real world. This section future clarities what such a convergence means and how it can benefit society. Modeling real world issue. Cyberspace is the electronic world inside computer. Data from the physical space or real world are analyzed in cyberspace so as to derive solution for managing or improving society. Once these solutions are implemented in physical space or real world, the outcomes are evaluated, which generates data. Physical space, no, this data is then input back into the cyberspace for analysis, and if there are any problems, future resolution will be derived. This cycle whereby society is continuously adjust and improve is what Society 5.0 is all about. To derive solution for the physical space real world, cyberspace must have a structure mirroring that of the real world. Consider once again the example of the air conditioner. In this case, the cyber model must have a real-world mirroring structure necessary air conditioning the room. In other words, the system must model the physical characteristic of the room to understand how the room will change if the airflow is in series of decreases. If the system models the room's features are they in reality, it runs cyber simulation and learns strategies for keeping the room optimal air conditioned. Knowledge intensive society. Society 5.0 it defines three elements that drive social innovation: data information and knowledge. In this section, we clarify what does the three terms mean and describe the ways in which Society 5.0 continue a knowledge intensive society. Data, information, and knowledge. First, what are data? Generally, data refer to tangible and intangible phenomena in the physical space or real world that are represented as numerical values, states, names, or binary figure, telling use whatever a thing is a present or absent. To illustrate this definition, we will revert to a population of a hypothetical municipality. In Japan, the town's population could be worked out by referring to relevant entries in the National Registry of Citizens. From this source, the attributes of town residents include their gender, household composition, and address could be found. These facts represent town as data. Data are the most basic of three elements, or data, information, and knowledge, that are accumulated in cyberspace. What is knowledge intensive society? Data becomes useful to use once we convert it to information and then into knowledge. Hitherto, this conversation process has been driven by human computer interaction. In Society 5.0, the process will be driven without human intervention. Of the three elements, humans will only gain three greater opportunities to access all derived knowledge, the final output of the conversation process. How will this change affect society? Like other developed nations, Japan evolved from a labor-intensive society in which production relied on these efforts of a massive workforce into a capital-intensive society which was focused on tangible goods and was based on mass production and mass consumption. In the capital-intensive society, cities developed around seaport and airports where tangible goods were clustered. Under the Society 5.0 way of thinking, however, value is generated not from cluster and tangible asset, but rather from knowledge space, space where data and information are gathered and then disseminated and developed through knowledge. In this sense, a knowledge-intensive society is a key aspect of Society 5.0. Data-driven society. Society 5.0 is described as a data-driven society. What is a data-driven society? We live in a so-called information society. So how does this differ from a data-driven society? The previous section defined information data that has been processed and rendered meaningful, while indefinite knowledge and that general, processed and rendered meaningful, while its definite knowledge and general empirical laws extracted from such information. Compared to information and knowledge, data exists at more basic level. What, then, does it mean for a society to be driven by this most primitive of the three elements? The data-driven society is crucial for understanding Society 5.0, a point that is aptly illustrated by the fact that both terms appear in Japanese government's growth strategy 2018. Accordingly, this section explores the question in some detail. I think that's enough for me. See you next time. Thank you.